9th of January, SS Buria, first class cabin, passageway. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we'd managed to find some clue as to what that speckled band might be. Now, was it just like a snake? I thought our running theory was that it was a snake. Anyways. We didn't manage to investigate it all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us, as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? Oh, yes, he's completely disappeared. When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrists. Annoying, certainly. Anything new to examine around these here parts? That's the court record. Yep. That's also the court record. Okay. Can observe the door. That door leads to the second class area. It's locked. I can't open it. No, well, that stands to reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape. It's Sasato. I thought you were like on my side by now. Gosh, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. I've got to prove my innocence one of these days. I guess I can examine this door. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin. It's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry? Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. Anyway, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga has managed to uncover any new clues. Yes, we should probably find him a task. Alright, I guess we'll be traveling then, or moving. Okay. To Kazuma's cabin. 9th of January, SS Buria, first class cabin, number 1. Looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject. I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean, unscathed? Was something supposed to be scathing him about now? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you? Naruto-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Yeah, it's coming to mind now. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. Hello, sir. You're not Hosonaga.
Yo! Where did you go?
Oh, sorry. I just went to the next door cabin to...
Why? Who gave you permission for this?
Well, Seaman Hosonaga did.
Native Japanese, was it? Later, I will roll him into a ball and throw him into cold room.
Whew. He's gone back to guarding the door.
I hope Inspector Hosonaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our accounts.
He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at Le Carnival.
That could be a very long time from now, Naruto-san.
True. Like, yeah. At this point in time, like, isn't it still like months of just like boat travel to get between, like, Europe and Asia? Like, still quite slow. And of course, I think the stay in, I believe it's England we're going to, is meant to be a fairly long-term proposition as well, so. Oh, we haven't examined the tablecloth yet?
There's nothing on this table at all. The plates and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason.
Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still. No, wait a minute.
What is it?
That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. It really doesn't help your case at all if you have very, we'll say, convenient lapses in memory.
So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama?
No! Oh, the shelf can be observed. All the books provided for passengers occupying this cabin neatly arranged on the shelf. They were all over the place when we first looked around, if you remember.
They were all over the place when we first looked around, if you remember.
Yeah, isn't that called, like, tampering with the crime scene? Ah, yes. And you tidied them up, didn't you? You little criminal, you.
You have to look after the ship's property. Unruly behavior on the cabin leads to damage.
But it really wasn't me who knocked them over.
Well, anyway, I feel much better now that they're neatly lined up. I can't relax when things are untidy.
Noted. Okay. Oh, there you are, Hosanai. Didn't even see you there. How you doing? Oh, you're back. Inspector!
What happened to you? Your face is...
Please, don't worry about it. They were just scratches.
Made by a bear, maybe?
When I told the captain that I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fists and then toss me overboard.
What?
But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really.
Looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd lay his life on the line if he had to.
Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little about the neighboring cabin.
Yes, so I understand.
Oh.
I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Herlock Sholmes. I don't think he was German, though.
That's not a bad little quip. Oh, that explains it. Shall we compare notes, then? We can tell you what we found out.
Yes, let's do it.
Alright, so, about the cabin, like, that's what's more material to the case, really.
What? Nikolina Pavlova? She's in the cabin next door?
Oh, do you know who she is?
Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel?
Oops, I think I upset him there.
Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case, at least.
I mean, not necessarily. Yeah, and according to the butterfly effect, are we all not related in one way or another at the end? Right? Oh, how?
Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they?
Yeah, he's got a point. Oops, now I've definitely upset him.
Inspector, has your investigation in here proved fruitful?
If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police.
Yeah, that's under British jurisdiction, if I recall. Anyways, at least in this time period. I know now it's Chinese, but...
So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job.
Oh, I see.
There is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you.
Oh, what?
Yes, do tell us, Inspector, please.
Well, I mean, we gotta jump on that little nugget, don't we? What is this new information you have, Inspector?
It's this.
Oh, there's some correspondences.
The Burya's medical officer has finished his examination of the body. I managed to obtain the reports.
Ah, Kazma's post-mortem reports. It's useful, sure, but not exactly something I'm glad to be in possession of, that's for sure.
Kazma-sama.
So, what was the cause of death?
Damage to the cervical vertebrae is what's written in the reports.
His neck was broken?
Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. So at first I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all.
Not that they know of. That's a loophole. As we discovered in the previous case. Well, what weapon was used then?
Nothing has been found as of yet, but the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object, something that wouldn't leave a mark.
Yeah, I see.
All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility. No obvious wound would be left.
Poor Kazma.
I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it.
Really? Are you sure?
Yes, it's fine. I trust you.
Well, that's more than Susato-san here, at least.
After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never have agreed to you leaving this cabin in the first place, would I?
Yeah, now that you mention it. That's right, Susato. That guilt you're feeling is real and should be felt. This man, he's a man, a true judge of character. Think about the decisions you've made this day. That's all I'm going to say. The post-mortem report has been entered into the court record. A report from the SS Burya's medical officer giving the cause of death as a cervical spine injury. There were no traces of external injury or poison. Alright, let's take a look at that now. Why not? Victim, male, Far Eastern, time of death, sometime between 1 a.m. and a little past 2 a.m. That's pretty early in the morning. Cause of death, damage to the cervical vertebrae, resulting in instant death. The victim's neck was almost certainly broken as a result of a strong blow to the area. No obvious external injuries or traces of poison. Okay. Not quite sure what that implies exactly. Anyways, the Great Detective. Great Detective.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, was he?
Yes, he seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept about on the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored.
Did he say anything at all?
Actually, now you mentioned it, yes. Just one thing, but he practically shouted it. "It's shoe polish!" was all he said.
Shoe polish? And what he meant?
It was when he was over there by the piece of broken glass, do you see?
Perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think?
Yes, that must be it.
But how could Mr. Sholmes know that it's shoe polish?
It leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea.
What is it, Susato-san?
Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue.
Dark tan? A sort of dark brownish red, then?
Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him.
Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish of Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed on the floor? Signs of a struggle, perhaps. The mark on the floor has been entered into the court record. A piece of small glass object and what looks like a scuff mark made by Kazuma's shoes were found by the victim's body.
That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head.
Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you.
Poor Inspector. You look exhausted.
No. Well, I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. It was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You're his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke this morning.
Huh. A heavy head? That's interesting. My head's still throbbing too. I wonder, and is it possible some noxious gas was released in the boat at some point? Perhaps to create an opportunity for the assailant. I suppose I can examine the body again. So it's clear that these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilt on the floor. And they spell the Russian word for wardrobe.
It does seem to be an unambiguous pointer to you, Naruto-san, as you were sleeping in there.
But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelt out my name, don't you think? Ah, yes. See, they're trying to pin it on me, but if they don't actually know who I am, they can't just spell out the name. Therefore, they point out the wardrobe instead, thereby implying the killer was someone who did not know me.
Well, either way, one fact remains.
That, or if I was to counter-argument that, I could say, well, even if they knew who I was, they don't know that, since I'm a stowaway, the record of me being on the ship, spelling out the name may not necessarily prove anything if no one else knows who I am. Granted, she knows who I am, but the person may not have known that necessarily. Anyways.
It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last words, or word in Russian.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Which begs the question of who did write it. Okay, we're gonna examine the disc. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments, writing his diary.
1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Looking at his writing here on the page, it's almost impossible to believe that he's gone.
Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words. I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery now, Naruto-san.
We will. What about this event? Anything new going on there? So this ventilator joins to Miss Pavlova's cabin.
Yes, that's right.
In just a few minutes before he died, Kazuma saw something emerging from it. The speckled band, as he described it.
If only Miss Pavlova had been able to shed some light on it, but she seemed as baffled as we are.
Yes. I wonder if she's telling us everything, though.
I'm not sure.
I know most people aboard would say the same about me, but there was something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. Okay, anything else worth investigating? I feel like we got our bases just about covered. We can check the other side here. Yeah, that seems to be... I don't see anything else to take note of. Is there anywhere else we could go? Is there anything else in the passageway to look into? 9th of January, SS Buria, first class cabin, passageway.
Ah! Look at Naruto-san. Seaman Stroganoff has gone.
Strong enough?
The burly Russian sailor who's always crossing his arms and glaring at us?
All these Russian names are impossible to remember. I mean, Sasada's managing just fine. What's your problem? Tra-la-la. Who's this? Did you hear that? Sounds like someone's singing? Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. I did it the great detective way.
This caroling. I know that lark-like voice.
Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us.
Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate.
Definitely. Before that stringy knots crewman comes back.
What? Strong enough. It's not stringy knots.
Okay. To the cabin. 9th of January, SS Buria, first class cabin, number 2. Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Susada-san? Oh, where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are her private things.
It's not a moment to waste now, Naruto-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can.
I suppose you're right. For Cosmo's sake. Although, we don't have a warrant. And also, have you ever heard of this legal concept called fruit of the poisonous tree? It's a very interesting thing, where if you don't have the right to search stuff, and then you find evidence, you can't actually use that evidence in trial. So, whatever. Since when did this game carry out the rules of law?
Not just for Kazuma-sama.
What do you mean?
It can't be long now until we arrive at ports in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there.
Oh, thanks, Asada-san. Or whatever.
Really? We must solve this case, Naruto-san. By ourselves if we have to.
Yes, we will. Okay, let's get to examining. And obviously, first, most important thing here, what are these dresses doing?
Naruto-san, are you there?
Sorry, I'm right here, yes. Why?
Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home.
Believe me, I don't have some sort of strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know.
Well, anyway. I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. Those are all stage costumes.
So they're hoping we might find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there. We had no such luck. Okay, how about... Really, I can't investigate the bag? Okay, how about... Not the door. Out the shelf! Susato, clean it up. All the books have toppled over together. Look, every single one.
Do you think there's a god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too. He's toppled too, though.
It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door. In Kazuma's cabin.
Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and it fell against the bookcase.
I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company?
Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage.
Not everything bad that happens on the ship is because of me, you know.
Well, anyway, I'll set them all straight again in here too. I don't like seeing things in disarray.
Lovely. Now she'll know we were here. Great. Okay, what's in the case?
Oh my! Miss Pavlova's case is open.
It's completely empty inside. But according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there.
Yes, a friend that she had to keep secrets.
Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the Hesperia. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. Probably a snake. And more to the point, where is it now? Is it... Come on. Eating food off the plates?
I wonder what this little saucer's doing on the floor.
Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped. More like it was put there deliberately.
Ah, do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here?
No, just probably for feeding the pets. What? A leak?
Is this ship quite safe?
I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, it doesn't mean the whole ship is going to sink.
No, you're right. Of course you're right.
She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? Okay. A nice little tea set. A staple for any civilized individual.
It would seem this teapot is empty.
So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are a very thirsty people. Why do we have to bring race into this?
Or because Miss Pavlov only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had the chance to make any tea yet. I mean, it could be either.
It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it.
You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruto-san?
Yeah, that's my thing. Anyway, oh, desks. You'll always find the greatest secrets of a person on the desk. There are just a few books on the desk. Nothing else by the looks of it.
Well, Miss Pavlov only ran away from the ballet last night. He's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all.
That's true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read.
Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading books written in Russian.
You don't say. Very helpful, Susato. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that.
It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruto-san. Kindly remember that.
Okay, fine. If I need the, Cyrillic expert witness, I won't call you.
I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket.
Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away?
Naruto-san!
What? It's evidence.
It's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know?
It's poor etiquette to break into their room. Well, I guess we didn't technically break and enter. But enter in without breaking into their room secretly. It's, bad form to rifle through their wardrobe and their desk and organize their bookshelf for them. Is this really where we're drawing the line? And legally speaking, as far as I'm aware, once you throw something out, at least once it's on the curb, which granted there aren't curbs on the ship, but we're going with the analogy for now. Once it's on the curb, I don't even think it's technically your property anymore. So, this is the least of the offenses we've committed just now in searching this quarters. Those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now.
However, these are special circumstances, I think.
Exactly. We have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all.
Oh, well, that's a little disappointing.
Well, I'm sure that'll be it tells us something, probably. Can't really put my finger on what right now, but it's a thing. I wonder, could this have gone through? Huh. And if so, what implications does that have? There's one of these next to the bed in Cosmo's cabin, too. It does kind of look like a speckled band.
Yes, it's a bell cord. I can't resist.
What? We are secret note bullets! Susato? We are secretly investigating this cabin. And you just rang a bell. That probably, is the signal to get, room service up here or something. Think, please, woman! She barely hesitated there. She gave it a good tug, too. Alright. Think about what you just did.
No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come.
And why would you want to? Again, we're secretly in here. If someone had come, that's game over. We're gonna be, court-martialed and thrown in the brig and put on death row and stuff, We don't want that. We don't want them to! We're trying to investigate in secret! At least someone's got common sense in this duo. And occasionally it's Ryunosuke, occasionally it's his friend. So this ventilator connects to Cosmo's cabin next door.
Yes, what a fool, a shipbuilder. Must be to open a ventilator into another room.
Maybe it's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm?
Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning.
That is a possibility. Anyway, last night Cosmo wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator. Melissa Sato? Anything? Any thoughts on the matter? Alright, let's look at the door. The door's cool. It's a door. This cabin door has the same simple sort of bolted latch that our cabin door has. If the bolt's drawn across, there's no way for anybody could enter the cabin from outside.
Yes, it's not a particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it wouldn't slide across of its own accord, would it?
Well, granted, this probably isn't where they're going to go with this, but it would be an interesting twist on the locked room mystery, because it's a ship on the wavy seas. Conceivably, if it's literally just a pull the bar across the latch sort of situation, if the ship were at a sufficient angle, is it conceivable that gravity could, say, unlatch it or latch it? I wonder. No, and the door's made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets then bolted from the outside.
And it seals up perfectly, too, to stop any seawater coming in. So I couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through a crack around the closed door either.
I seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. Okay, I think that's everything in here. Oh, never mind, there's the rules, but these are the same as before, right? Ah, yes, they're displayed in this cabin too. Look, the SS Muria's Rules of Passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden.
I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the Gonz's case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean.
I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine.
I just hope Seaman Stroganoff doesn't find it and throw it overboard.
Yes. So do I. Alright, I think now that's everything. So let's go back to the passageway. See if anything cool's going on out here. Answer seems to be no. How's the cabin doing? The old cabin? Answer's no. Okay. Back to this cabin. Clearly we missed something. Okay, what about the rug? Is the rug cool? No, the rug is not cool. The pipes are completely ordinary. The lighting fixture is not of note at all. Desk we already looked at, trash we already rifled through. The table itself, nothing of note going on there. The chair, we already investigated that, technically. I think the hooks are interesting, but I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Yep. That's fair. That makes sense. This picture frame looks mysterious, but not mysterious enough, it would seem. The bed, anything of note in the bed? Is it made well? Yeah. Okay, more or less. This bag, I can't believe we can't investigate it, but we can't. Already investigated. Okay, seriously, what are we missing at this point? Anything else look out of the ordinary here? Can't converse or anything. Can look at the court record, but I don't think that's useful at this point in time. Hmm. Alright, I'm pretty sure we investigated the whole room. Okay, let's go out to the passage. Maybe there's something interesting going on out here. Yep, that's... Hello, anything new? Oh! Hello? Sir?
Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes, look.
Wow, you never know where he's gonna turn up next, do ya?
He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself.
Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la, I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. You think he hasn't noticed us?
Or he's simply in extremely high spirits.
Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky Harlock was about. Excuse me? I solved it all, and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes! Oh! What is it? You wanna fight? Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, and I was just about to reach the climactic finish. Sorry? I thought you were never going to stop, so I figured now was as good a time as any. And could you stop, like, shadowboxing me? It's weird. It's getting weird. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now could you put those fists away?
Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you.
Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in study of the ship's log as penned by the stockily-built crewman who's usually on guard here.
Oh, yes, the ship's log.
And did you find out anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. Which means that there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
Observe the other pages, and all shall become clear. It would seem that the same crewman oft stands sentry in this first-class passageway, and he has an almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes?
Nothing to report?
Precisely! Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report.
Do you mean...
Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night which led the seaman being absent from his post.
What kind of circumstances? What happened?
That remains a mystery for now, but we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. you must log the ship's log in your mental file. The ship's log has been entered into the court record. A record kept by the crew assigned to the first-class cabin area. There are virtually no entries from 2 a.m. until early this morning. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is. I see. What makes Sholmes brilliance. Oh. What is it? Are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning. For some reason. Nothing more. Yes, everyone seems to be having those headaches. What a curious coincidence. Well, my friends, until our next encounter. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. That's the detective way. Is something wrong, Susato-san? You seem lost in thoughts.
It's just, well, I feel the same.
Sorry?
Ever since I woke up this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing.
Oh, you too. Curious. I do wonder, maybe someone did, like, gas the people. We'll see. Back to the cabin. See anything cool going on here? The answer appears to be no, but you never know. You always gotta look. Okay. We looked, and the answer was still no. I guess we could take a look at the court record. Let's look at the ship's log. Alright, the 9th of January, duty crewman Biff Stroganov. Alright, so at 0:100, nothing to report. At 0:30, nothing to report. At 1, nothing to report. 1:30, nothing to report. But then at 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3, 3:30, 4, 4:30, 5, 5:30, nothing at all. Interesting. Okay, well, if there's nothing going on here, and there's nothing going on in the passage, there must be something going on in Mr. Pavlova's cabin. Clearly. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling!
Ah, what's that? What's that?
Where? Well, I guess I don't really... I don't need a sound effect, there's actual sound effects. Shut down the engines immediately! Vessel sighted, 1/4 mile 4! Full stop! Hard to starboard! All hands race for impact! What the?
I think we're about to crash into another ship.
What?
I can't stand.
Susato-san, hold on to me. Susato-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all?
I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruto-san.
Looks like we avoided a collision.
I think...
Yes, the ship has come to a stop.
Oh my goodness, what about you, Naruto-san? Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine. Hello! Is there anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance! Oh, that sounds like...
Inspector Hosonaga.
Is that you in there? Naruto-san. Unbolt the door, quickly! What? The bolts?
Look at that!
The door's bolted. Yeah, I guess my deduction proved to be correct. Did you do that, Susato-san?
No, I didn't touch it.
Well, that's strange. How did... And... Look at all the books. Now, this is interesting. Because if the key to the locked room mystery is this whole bolt thing, that the bolts can actually be bolted by virtue of the steering of the ship, that's kind of implicates someone who would have some level of control over the steering of the ship. That, or just someone who, like, knew, but how would you know? They're just like they were before again.
Notice-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in?
That would be a reasonable thing to do, I suppose. I'd better tidy this place up first. What? Our violent emergency stop had solved one mystery, at least, in a very vivid way. But I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. To be continued.